favor?
Well, I'd rather discuss that later. I hope we're going to win that case. I think it's one of the most important cases in the history of our country. So much evolves around tariffs as a defensive mechanism for our country, as national security for our country. So I don't want to really discuss ground two. This is so important. If you look at China, and I covered this yesterday, but if you look at China, by putting a large 100% tariff over and above the tariffs they already paid, they came to the table, they talked, we made a wonderful deal for everybody. Our farmers, as you know, with the soybeans at levels that nobody's ever seen before, we were able to make phenomenal deals. If we didn't have the tariffs, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So we thought we did very well yesterday. We hope that we did. I think it would be devastating for our country, but I also think that we'll have to develop a game two plan. We'll see what happens. Most people tell me we did very well legally. You have to be quick moving. You can't wait around for months and months while you're doing studies and you're doing all of this, or go back to Congress. Look at Congress. We can't even get a continuation from Congress. Think of that. How would you have to go back to Congress you have to do this spur of the moment? Because just so you understand, we're hit spur of the moment. You know, other countries have used tariffs to absolutely, they would have destroyed us. If I didn't come along, our country would be destroyed right now. The tariffs have made us rich in terms of national security. They've made us secure. And you know, if you have economic strength, that's also, if you have a lack of economic strength, that's national security also. But we have great national security because of those tariffs. So I think it would be devastating if we lost that ruling.
But before the Supreme Court issues a ruling, it could be several weeks, are you going to lay out any new additional tariffs before?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to hope that we win. I can't imagine that anybody would do that kind of devastation to our country.
So President Trump announced on Sunday that most Americans will receive at least a $2,000 tariff from revenue from the Trump administration. Trump's statement made early Sunday on his Truth platform comes after the White House defended his sweeping use of tariffs before the Supreme Court this past week, where the justices appeared skeptical of the president's broad use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Trump's public musing about Americans pocketing $2,000 from his tariff also comes after Democrats emerged victorious in races across the country in last week's election. From more moderate to progressive candidates, Democrats ran disciplined campaigns focusing on affordability and what cost of living. Here's what you need to know about the checks. He said basically that everyone are fools and people that go against them. And then we're now the most richest, most respected country in the world with no inflation and a record stock price 4Ks higher than ever. We're taking trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt. 37 trillion record investment in USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. He continued a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will pay to everyone. Trump floated the idea of giving Americans checks worth somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 in an interview on one American news network last month. We're going to do something. We're looking at something. Number one, we're paying down debt because people have allowed the debt to go crazy. Trump said at the time, we'll pay back debt, but we also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America. In an interview Sunday on ABC News this week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told host George Stephanopoulos that he hasn't spoke to Trump yet about his proposal, but that the 2000 dividend could come in lots of forms in lots of ways that does not resemble direct stimulus checks. It could be just tax decreases that we're seeing on the president's agenda. Bessent said, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, no deductibility of auto loans. So, these are substantial deductions that are being financed. Bessent added, who qualifies for the dividends. Trump has not specified who will qualify for dividend, but although he said everyone except high-income people would at least be paid 2,000 in the form of a dividend, the White House and Treasury Department did not respond to questions about the income levels would be precluded from receiving dividends and whether children would be entitled to the same dividends. The administration also did not say how much dividends would cost the country, how much revenue tariffs generate. In his interview on ABC News on Sunday, the Treasury Department Secretary insisted that the primary goal of the tariffs is not to generate revenue, which falls under Congress' purview, but rather to address what the administration sees as unfair trade balances. It's not about taking in revenue, it's about rebalancing, Bessent said. And the revenue occurs early on, and then as we rebalance the job come home, then it becomes domestic tax revenue. However, the tax tariffs do not have already generated billions in revenue. Through September, the government raised 195 billion in revenue from the tariffs, which are taxes on foreign goods that companies are paying and importing products overseas. That represents a 250% increase or one additional 118 billion compared with what the government collected in tariffs in the previous year in fiscal 2024. The tariffs are expected to generate roughly 3 trillion over the next decade, according to the data from the Treasury Department. And next we have the government shutdown. This is long the government has been shut down. 41 days, 4 hours and 31 minutes, 55 seconds. And it's been a while and it needs to stop right now. So we also have them government shutdown end in sight as Senate approves funding package, sending it to the House. What to know on day 41 of the government shutdown? The Senate late Monday approved a long-sought funding package that would end the government shutdown, bringing Congress one step closer to ending an impasse that has gripped Washington for 41 days and sowed chaos across the country. Legislation now heads to the House for approval as early as Wednesday. The bill's final passage in the Senate was all but guaranteed after a successful vote to advance it on Sunday evening when 8 Democratic senators crossed the aisle. But the chamber worked Monday to come to an agreement to speed up the process before taking a series of votes to incorporate various elements of the deal into a single legislative package. The final version of the bill extends government funding through January 2026 and it includes also 3-year-long funding bills for various federal agencies and programs and reinstates federal workers who were laid off the shutdown in exchange for 8 Democratic votes, Republicans agreed to hold a vote by mid-December on extending health care tax credits that have been central to Democratic demands. The agreement angered by many in the Democratic base who wanted health care addressed in the deal itself. The bill will also need approval from the House and from the signature needs to be from the Mike Johnson, and the members said there was returning right now. Yeah, yeah. So the government's been shut down. They're trying to get it back up. So, yep.